Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. Now if you haven't already checked it out, go check it out. The interview that Triple H did for BT Sport, the Ariel Meets interview just before Clash at the Castle, because it's an absolute gem. Honestly, if you're a fan of Triple H, proper fanboy of Triple H, it's a really in-depth insight into Triple H, and he goes through the numerous health scares he had. And to be honest, the summary in general of that interview is just thankful that Triple H is back, honestly, in good health. And he saved WWE in a way creatively so far. I was really falling out of love with the product. Triple H has come in and just made things better. And it's why it begs the question, of course, do you think that Triple H has actually signed Bray Wyatt and we just don't know about it? Now, if you watch that interview, at the end of the interview, there's a bit where Ariel, the interviewee, is pretty bold with his questioning, and he asks about Sasha Banks, Braun Strowman. Remember, he hadn't returned at this point, and of course, Bray Wyatt. He asks about Rock Roman at WrestleMania potentially as well. So it's juicy, even if you're not a fan of Bray Wyatt or The Fiend. Now, watch that bit at the end when he asks Triple H about Bray Wyatt, because he massively puts over Bray Wyatt. Hugely. Like, he talks about him basically being a creative genius. In a short way, I guess he just says that. But he also fires back constantly to and fro about that creativity needs to be harnessed in some way. And I think what he was basically alluding to is he could be the man to harness that creativity. Maybe Vince McMahon couldn't. He also alludes to people in the workplace. I think he was referring to Bray, potentially being a bit difficult to work with sometimes, because they're so creatively active and have all these ideas and they just want it to be the way they envision it. And what he subtly said was, and he did say, check the language barrier on this interview. He said, it's okay, get the green light to swear. And he goes, in the business sometimes we work with arseholes, but if they're in my business, they're my arseholes. And together, whether we have differences, we will come up with a solution. We will come up with a creative idea that works best for the fans, the WWE universe. And I think what he was certainly alluding to was the fact that Vince and Bray kind of couldn't get on. Sort of Vince saw him as the arsehole, but didn't see him as his arsehole. And Triple H, imagine if someone just comes in on this video now and hears this. Think, what on earth is he on about? But what he's basically saying is, he'd be willing to work with Bray Wyatt. Now, he's not going to give away Bray Wyatt returning to WWE at that point. Of course he's not. And if you watch the questioning about Braun Strowman and the answers he gave, bearing in mind that Braun hadn't returned to WWE just yet. He'd been signed, clearly, because only a few days after this interview we saw Braun Strowman return. Triple H is a flipping genius. Like, he's the best poker player. I'm not playing that man at poker, because if you look at the way he answered that questioning, you never have thought in a million years that Braun was going to come back. You just think the guy rates Braun, he saw talent maybe in him that others didn't, and you wouldn't think anything of it. And the way he answered the Bray Wyatt questioning was very clever, very methodic. It left a lot to the imagination, and you think, hang on a minute. Triple H is saying he wants to work with Bray Wyatt. And of course, if he was returning, he wouldn't give that away. So see what you think from that interview and then ask yourself that question. Now, it's clear at the moment in WWE, they have a certain route at the top of the tree, right? Roman Reigns is pretty planned out, I'd imagine, in WWE till WrestleMania. He's likely to keep the belts until then. So people that want the Fiend alter ego to come back and wreak havoc in WWE, get his revenge on Roman Reigns and take the belts, I don't necessarily think at this moment that's a good call. So are WWE, assuming maybe that they've signed Bray Wyatt, and due to certain reports that have come out recently, it's more a case of when rather than if, allegedly. Many believe he has already signed. Again, this is not confirmed. That maybe they're just having to pivot a little bit, and maybe they're taking their time to pick the right place. Now, if I had my way, I'd have Bray Wyatt come back in the Royal Rumble and reform the Wyatt family. I think that would be a great way of building some storylines, some factions versus other factions, dream case scenarios down the line there, and then hold off on the Fiend at a later date. Maybe save that for Roman later down the line, maybe a SummerSlam 2023. So, yes, we are going to follow the updates on Bray Wyatt all the way through to wherever he appears. He may never appear, of course, there is always that possibility, but at this moment, I honestly think WWE have signed him. I honestly believe WWE have signed Bray Wyatt. We don't know about it. Bray Wyatt, just the fact that he tweeted like literally hours after Clash at the Castle, and then Eric Rowan tweets, like, things are starting to piece together, and WWE don't want to rush this. They don't want to get this wrong. Yes, they want to build anticipation, but look, they don't want to just chuck him in at the wrong time. Like, Clash at the Castle was not the right time to bring him back long term. You know, Extreme Rules probably unlikely. Survivor Series potentially, but we're more likely looking at a longer term wait for this. But that doesn't mean, of course, he's signed or hasn't signed. Like, we still don't know 100%, but nevertheless, it's good to speculate. Thank you so much for watching the video. As always, be really appreciative if you get down in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions, like this video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in another video. Take care.